How Birth Control Changed Women's Lives, a documentary by J.C. Harshman. Most people think of frontiers as traveling and moving west, yet frontiers could also be an important person, medical movements, events, tragedies, and more. For example, birth control is a large frontier in history because before birth control, poverty was spiraling out of control, teenage pregnancies were appearing, and women were unwillingly pregnant. Women were using torture devices to prevent pregnancy before contraception, and it commonly hurt the woman that could result in death. Yet in 1917, one of America's most famous women launched the birth control review to gain fellow supporters from medical workers. In March 1925, she took the stage at an international birth control conference to argue for the health and happiness of the unborn child. A woman who wanted that change is named Margaret Sanger. Margaret was the creator of the invention birth control, with her simple idea in 1914 turned into a drastic change in the world. Margaret Sanger grew up in a large home with 11 siblings. Her mother died due to complications with pregnancy after having 7 miscarriages. Margaret had blamed her father for getting her mom pregnant so many times, resulting in her death. Since then, she knew something had to change and decided to take matters into her own hands. Sanger attended Claverick College and Hudson River Institute in 1896 and took her career to New York City in the Lower East, and she gained sympathy towards women that she had seen in poverty and the struggles they invaded through. Margaret came up with the idea for the particular circumstance that she believed in an equal foot in society, and after seeing all the women go through botched abortions and trauma, she was inspired to take her nursing expertise to contraception. Birth control is a frontier in history because most people supporting birth control consisted of parents on the verge of poverty and teens.
The last child, the last abortion, which many of them had. So there's a number of things that are one after the other that really made you feel that you had to do something. I was what I would call a born humanitarian. I don't like to see people suffer. I don't like to see cruelty, even to this day. And in nursing, you see a great deal.
There are many different forms of birth control for women, and each has its own different side effects. The once-a-day pill may have caused problems for others with memory problems. So many more forms of birth control were invented, including contraceptive injection, where they inject fluid into you, an implant into your arm that can last up to 1 to 3 years, and many more. Negative effects of birth control include accidental deaths due to the product not being completely safe for society at the time, pelvic infection, false security, headaches, nausea, and birth defects. But Margaret Sanger fixed the main negative effect by reducing the hormone doses in the pill. The National Library of Medicine collected a study to prove that the original hormone dosage changes throughout time. The first marketed pill, Enovid 10, contained 9.85 milligrams of the progestin and 150 milligrams of the estrogen. Today's pills contain dramatically lower hormone doses, zero point 0.1 to 3.0 milligrams of modern progestin and 20 to 50 milligrams of estrogen. The progestin used today is much more specific and focused in their drug effect. This struck importance that Margaret Sanger took large changes to her invention to help women's struggles because it shows that she cares about the health of her consumers more than contraception's effects on them. This information supports the idea that birth control is a frontier because it proves that its motive is to benefit women by keeping them healthy while still keeping birth control effective. Contraception affected women positively, including pregnancy prevention, preventing menstrual cramps, regulating the menstrual cycle, balancing hormones, and protecting against certain cancers. Once the Great Depression hit in the 1930s, more and more people's views towards contraception started shifting. The economy was at an all-time low, and families could not afford any more children. Birth control was able to ease some of the burden by managing the population. However, there was still a significant number of individuals that were against contraception despite the huge impact it had for families in poverty. The people who did not support birth control came into conflict with the invention due to religion and beliefs. The Catholics believed birth control could be considered murder or chance for life not to be lived. A message stated from Ward Patrick J. on contraception and how it is thought of morally. The effort made by the more extreme advocates of birth control to sweep away completely the present laws which prevent circulation through the mails and the importation across our borders or through our ports of contraceptive instruments, medicines, or literature has not, I believe, the support of any responsible body of citizens in this country. The principal religious groups recognize the tremendous moral and social dangers inherent in the teaching and practice of birth control.
You have helped to spread the birth control movement not only here in the United States, but in Europe and the Orient as well. Why? Why is birth control of such vital importance internationally? Is it just to save women suffering? Is that the only reason in your mind?
Well, not entirely. The population question is a great concern today, and the rate at which the births come in to we're saving them now. At one time, when children died, they didn't have the food. Today, our population all over the world is getting certainly better consideration and better conditions than they had at the time that I was there.
These two drastic opinions brought a movement for women to have equal protection of reproductive rights. Yet, since birth control, the poverty birth rate steadily decreased, women are thriving with reproductive rights, it helped balance our population, and teen pregnancies also decreased. In the future, we will continue to see how birth control continuously grows, how negative symptoms decrease, and how the use efficiency increases. Many women continue to result in birth control because they may not be able to afford a child, and the child wouldn't be able to live a good life in foster care, or there is an absent or abusive father that is incapable of caring for the child. Most importantly, it helped women gain reproductive control over their bodies. However, many people who come into struggle with birth control and religious views do not see birth control as a frontier because to them, it may not be beneficial to society in their opinion, or others may just simply not believe in it. Some may not appeal to it because of stories of bad side effects, including blood clots, certain risk cancers, weight gain, etc. The individuals that oppose birth control are not a frontier in history because birth control is mainly used to prevent unintended pregnancies, which may be against their religious beliefs. To sum up, everything that has been stated so far, the invention of birth control is a frontier because of how much it has impacted women's lives. Birth control influenced women's lives by giving them more reproductive rights and bringing down poverty rates and teenage pregnancies. Since Margaret Sanger invented birth control, women have been able to regulate their menstrual cycle to improve child health outcomes in order for the exact purpose of women to be able to plan or detain pregnancy, impacting reproductive health, and women have also had a dramatic increase in education and reproductive rights. Therefore, if birth control was not invented today, women would still be experiencing reproductive hardship.
Thank you for watching my presentation.